Greetings, dear viewers. Let me welcome you to today's international discussion. This discussion is dedicated to the International Forum, Global Crisis, We Are People, We Want to Live, that took place on May 7th. It had a tremendous impact on the global community, and we are continuing to discuss the topics that were presented during the forum with the people from around the world. The forum was simultaneously interpreted into 100 languages and streamed live to thousands of online channels and platforms. All of this was done by volunteers to share the easy solution to all the global problems with everyone, because we care about our future, the future of our kids, and society as a whole. The truth was voiced during the forum, and this is the information that can help us build the society of our dreams, the creative society. And today, my co-host is Marek. Marek, would you please introduce our guests?
Thank you, Olga. So today, here with us is Silkie Harvey from the United Kingdom. Silkie is a founder of the Inner Hippie Club and Inner Hippie Books, radio presenter, international best-selling author, senior level executive contributor at Brains Magazine, Brains 500, and etc., and CREA Global Awards 22 nominee. Welcome, Silkie.
I'm glad to be here. It's a pleasure.
Thank you. Our guest is also Nordino Nelson from Mozambique. Nordino is a teacher and a trainer. Welcome, Nordino.
Well, thank you for this opportunity that the Creative Society is providing for us here just to gather our ideas. And it is a pleasure for me to be here together with you guys.
Thank you, Nordino. And also here with us is Anik Kähler from Germany. Anik is a biological laboratory and environmental analyst, chemical engineering teacher, organizer of the biotech educational program in Neumünster. Welcome, Anik. So, before we begin our discussion, let's watch a small fragment from the Global Forum that took place on May 7th about the actual situation in the world.
Humanity's last war is already underway. The enemy is destroying everyone in its path.
At first, I thought it was a bomb explosion.
It's scary. It's very scary.
I honestly thought that I was going to die.
What was happening was like a nightmare. Everything was destroyed.
I couldn't stand to see the corpse of a mother hugging her burnt child.
My heart is breaking with pain.
Our enemy is climate.
Everything was destroyed.
There was no warning, no advice, nothing.
When I went out, I saw something that looked like a tsunami.
My father died right under our rubbled house. If only I could have helped him. I thought my family and I would die because the wind and the rain were unbelievably strong.
I'm looking for my wife and I need her.
I want to be strong, but I can't hold back my tears.
When we realized that the water had invaded the house, we only had time to get people out of the house.
There was no time to grab anything, and I lost everything.
And these are just its first attacks. It won't agree on humanitarian corridors. It won't sign a peace agreement. It doesn't need time to regroup. And it won't run out of missiles. With each new attack, the enemy only gets stronger. What can we oppose against this enemy? Can we, humans, survive this war? If meanwhile, instead of carrying out planetary mobilization and creating a united front, we are killing each other.
I don't want to die. I want it all to be over as soon as possible. Suddenly the windows started shaking, and with the second one, everything exploded. They were actually burnt alive.
The second bomb dropped.
We're killing the planet that is our only home. We are investing billions of dollars in pseudoscience and the business of a few. Instead of providing for life to billions, we are being artificially divided. We've been inculcated with hatred for one another, and all for the power of a few over the billions over us. But before the climate, everyone is equal. Everyone will lie in one mass grave unless we rally our strength today and stand united against the common enemy. Yes, it's hard, but we must do so if we want to survive. For we are people. We want to live.
Thank you for that video. We see today what climate is doing to people from around the world, and that today this is our only enemy. And instead of uniting and figuring out a solution, we are divided more than ever. But the time has come for all people to unite so that we can all survive in the near future. And Nordino, we know that you've also lost your house as a result of a cyclone that passed through. Could you please share with us and with our viewers your experience of the disaster that you lived through so we can hear it firsthand?
Well, thank you for the opportunity for me to speak about the cyclone. Firstly, the most dangerous cyclone that we faced in Mozambique, it was Ana cyclone. We heard that this year, as I said before to one of the participants, that we are still facing this problem because many houses are destroyed. Many people, they don't have a place to live. But it's a task, or it's a research that has been actually done by the government. Government is working for some organizations like OM, or Organization of International Migration. Even there is also Red Cross who is working under this. There are some those projects that are dealing like humanitarian projects. We have here in Mozambique different kinds of projects that cares about this kind of phenomena, you know. And going back to the issue, the matter, let me say that Ana cyclone was affecting people from northern of the country, especially in Nampula province. In Nampula province, in some district like Moma was reached with many people. This cyclone did not only destroy or did not only damage the things, but also killed many people. You know, it's due to the climate change, as we have seen through the video. that recently we played. The team played the video that it's also happened in Mozambique. We had this cyclone, which we called I personally sent some videos to Tatiana. Okay, I shared this information through video and some pictures, very sad pictures that we couldn't hold ourselves. Of course, very sensitive image. Others' image are not welcome in a normal life. In Akala Port, for instance, there was a family, a whole family, the entire family died because it was raining overnight and people were not able to discover what's going on. And that family, all of them died. We as neighbors, we discovered it in the morning. In the morning that we discovered that those neighbors of ours, they are not in life. We went there and we phoned to the government. In this case, I mean to the mayor, right? Because the mayor is the first government that yes, we have the number of the mayor. We called up the mayor, and then the mayor came with a group of some people who care about these issues, and the boats were removed to the place to the hospital, just going sharing experience in Zambezia. In Zambezia, a group of government who decide to go to the field to see what is necessary to be done or not, they died already the place. They went there to have a research, right, a group of researchers, but unfortunately, they were not able to get back. It was in Zambezia province, and just these things are happening in a sense that the climate is changing, and we can see that of course the climate is always changing. As we saw it last month, we had also Kombi cyclone. Kombi cyclone was actually somehow normal because it has a time to stop raining. It makes the difference between cyclone Ana and cyclone Kombi was that this Ana cyclone killed many people and destroyed many houses are destroyed already, and the government is trying to rebuild the schools, but needs some condition. The government needs some donation, needs support from other countries. That's why some children are not in a classroom. In some dens, others are under trees having classes. It's very pity to the country like this. We have woods, but we are not able to sit on it because of these cyclones that we faced recently. And let me say that there is a group of people who are still collecting data for sending to other countries that can donate it. But is a situation that we need to think meticulously, to think and to get a solution. What is necessary to be done for us to change? Because we need, of course, a very brief and soon solution for this situation, for this phenomenon that is happening. And we need to know why is it actually happening this time. We need to get a solution. The government must sit and analyze what's going on. Yes, that's what I had at least to share regarding to this cyclone that happened in Mozambique. Yes, Olga?
Can I also ask an additional question? Were the people warned that that cyclone will be so destructive? And what are the people do? How are they coping long term that they have lost their homes?
Okay, well, answering your question. It's a very important question that I couldn't forget, of course. Thanks to remind. Well, of course, the government want the population through the medias, like televisions and other medias that we had information. The population had this information. People, they knew already, but the kinds of houses that we have, the kinds of lifestyle that these people have, they cannot do anything unless just waiting for it to happen. Because the house that most of Mozambican, they have a mud house. Can you see? Then obviously there wasn't a way of just running from this situation. That's why when these houses were destroyed, they went in some schools, because some schools, well, we can find some condition that could support them. Yes, that's so far. Some people are. Some families are still in some schools, in some classrooms. Being in a classroom, that means that the students are not able to be there because they are sleeping. They change it into houses, right? Can you see, Mark? The situation here is critical. We need. That's why I was coming here saying that we need to find a solution very soon. We need to find solution. The government must discuss this issue, must take this issue in a higher position as all of us. All of us were worried so far. I feel a pity as a trainer, as teachers. I see my students are not coming to school. That's a pity, you know. That's a pity. We have many students. We have many young boys, young girls that should be going to school, but no, they don't have ways to go to school. Even the routes are not okay. You know, the routes are not okay. If you see the last pictures that I sent to the team, you may cry. You can support that. Then that's why I'm just emphasizing, I'm highlighting that the government or we people in the world, we need to find solution for this situation. We need to find solution because it's something that nobody can take a solution, can find a solution of it unless being us. Yes. We are the building. We are the people.
Yes. Thank you very much. And the solution is already in place. This is the Project Creative Society that we are discussing today. Thank you very much for sharing your experience with us. And moving forward, I would also like to ask Silke. We know that you are basically devoting your life to these topics. You even wrote several articles. And before I ask the question, let me just quote some of these. So you wrote that the consumer society cannot continue at the rate it is going, or we must stop burning down the ship we are sailing on. So these are really powerful thoughts. And so the topic of ecology has been on your mind, obviously, for a long time, and we can see it. So has the forum provided you with some additional information you haven't been aware until now? What's happening on our planet?
So, yes, it's been a topic close to my heart all of my life because I am madly and passionately in love with Mother Earth. That's no two ways about it. And everything I do is based on how we can live peacefully and how we can live in harmony with Mother Earth without polluting her further. Because I was fortunate, I had a geology teacher in the 1980s who knew about these topics, and he told us about the 12,000-year cataclysm cycles. So I was fully aware of what's happening. And even though when you look on Google and places like that nowadays, it is being played down like, oh, what happened 12,000 years ago was just a meteor that hit the Earth. You know, I knew different from an early age, but I also have found over the years there are just so many things that are coming together that show that most of the environmental scene we are on now, like the CO2 situation that was mentioned in the forum, are political agendas to keep people happy, occupied, to make the population think that something is being done about something that is inevitable anyway, because we cannot change nature, we cannot stop this climate change, which is a natural cycle. And I was shocked, especially when I saw the bit about Kentucky and all the damage, the destruction has been done there. I mean, we're talking about a first world country, a fully developed country like the United States, and yet people were not told about that hurricane was coming, a tornado. People were not receiving any help. There were no emergency services, or not enough emergency services. Those emergency services who were there were desperately inadequately equipped, so they could not help as much as they wanted to. And now in the aftermath, people are not receiving any aid either, any help to help them rebuild their lives. And I would have thought that, especially in the developed world, with the amount of money the governments in the developed countries have, that should not be the case. I mean, it should not be the case that people don't receive any help anywhere, because I believe there is enough money on this planet to look after all the people. But here is the big political problem I see at this time, that 1% of the population owns 99% of all the wealth. And the entire consumer society is geared towards making that 1% richer and richer and richer, and hamstring and hoarding more and more of this money, which should be distributed equally throughout the world. Because as a human race, we need to pull together, because the climate change is inevitable. So instead, the whole political agenda is to divide people, divide and conquer, use humanity as nothing much more in my eyes than slaves, really. We are all slaves to the system, and all we are meant to do in our lifetime is make more money for those 1%. So, humanity needs to wake up to the fact that we are all being kept in our places, and that this 1% is ruling the planet so with such an iron grip that most people don't even realize we are in this cycle, because most people have been taught and conditioned to be consumers, to just like wake up in the morning and then carry on consuming throughout the day without even thinking about what life is really about. So the whole system makes you just consume mindlessly, so you don't start thinking about the real issues at hand, which is that we all need to pull together as the human race to survive on this planet. And the 1%, the way I see it, doesn't necessarily even want us all to survive, because we hear it all the time in the media, and it's been tried to keep quiet, but there is talk about the depopulation of the planet, saying that we are getting too many people. And it can well be, I mean, I have no proof of this, but I have a strong feeling that all this agenda of not telling people about disasters, even though we have got the technology to predict very accurately where the next tornado is going to hit, to not help people once they are in an emergency situation, it's all just part of this depopulation agenda, because it will make it so much easier for the ruling 1% elite to then influence and indoctrinate the remaining people through fear and through the consumer society, to just basically keep quiet and keep producing the money for them. But like I said in my article as well, this consuming cannot continue because it is based on infinite growth. And I used to be a translator and translate insider information for some of the really big guys. And I know that their entire system is built on growth, growth, and more growth. I mean, they are talking about, in their budgets, about 5% growth for the next year. And then if they had only 2% growth, they make a big thing of it, lay off thousands of people because apparently the company is no longer profitable now. But they are still profitable because even 2% growth still means you have earned more this year than you did last year. So it's all just based on this greed factor that we're wanting to grow and grow and grow, but we're living on a finite earth. I mean, the earth has a certain size, it has a certain land mass, and that will not grow only because we want to make more money. And that's where I see the real problem, that this greedy 1% is what just wanting to continue earning the money. And if all the money on this planet was equally distributed to the people, there would be no problem at all. Everybody could live a prosperous life. And myself, I can imagine in the far distant future a society where money is not even necessary. But I know very well that this is really a dream. It can be achieved, but it would be many, many years. So right now, right here, I think we need to work with what we've got. And we are in a monetary system. So I would love to, in my lifetime, see the redistribution of this wealth so that society and humanity could start benefiting from it, that everybody everywhere is living a prosperous life without hunger, without thirst, no famines, and everybody has a secure roof over their head. And I think that is perfectly achievable if the human race wakes up and pulls together.
Yes, thank you very much. This was really true. And indeed, as you said, the most ironic thing is that we have got all the technologies with help of which we could solve the issues that we have now. It's just that for some reason, these technologies are not accessible to all of the people. And this is one of the things that creative society will provide for, apart of all other things. So the same question I would also like to ask to Anik. And so can you also share with us your views and impressions from the global forum and of this situation that is going on in the world? Thank you.
Ja, sehr gerne. Ich grüße alle Teilnehmenden.
Absolutely.
Ja, ich beschäftige mich seit meiner Ausbildung mit
Yes, my pleasure. I welcome all the participants. Yes, I've been doing chemical analysis since I got my education. I've learned to look into molecules, into atoms, and I've discovered incredible beauty there. And in the same way, I rediscovered this incredible beauty on planet Earth.
Eigentlich ein Paradies hier. Dieser Planet ist.
We have here practically a paradise.
Alles kann hier
this planet
sprießen, könnte sein. Und
is created for life. Everything can sprout here.
Und wir könnten hier
can
wirklich
be here, and in addition to all living things, human beings are also living things, and we really could have a paradise on this planet.
Wir als Menschen haben die Verbundenheit.
I'm just afraid that we as humans have lost that connection. We are out of touch with life.
Da habe ich den Eindruck, das hindert uns auch daran. Also uns als Menschheit hindert uns das
here on this planet with life itself. And I get the impression this also hinders us. It currently prevents us, humanity, from having the true paradise on Earth that other life forms show us. The forests are united in an underground network. The trees communicate with each other. Trees sprawling only until the next one grows.
Dort, wo der nächste Nachbar anfängt, hört der eine Baum auf.
Where the next neighbor begins, one tree stops growing. So they only grow as long as they have room for each other. And this is what I wish for humanity, among all life forms. We have opportunity and knowledge. but we have no connection.
Ist es dazu gekommen, dass wir nicht
And the question arises, how is it that we are not interconnected?
Es ist die Hierarchie, die hierarchische Gesellschaftsstruktur, die wir seit 10.000 Jahren hier auf der Erde haben.
Hierarchy, the hierarchical social structure that we've had on Earth for 10,000 years. There are people who have something and they want to preserve and increase it. And yes, basically that's a start.
Der möchte es nicht mehr abgeben.
Those who already have something don't want to give it up. But how?
Dass wir diese hierarchische Struktur auf
How do we get there? We've brought this hierarchical structure to this level. That's the interconnections and that's what's going on here. Speaking of the creative society, we have an idea of how we really want to live.
Als ich von der kreativen Gesellschaft erfahren
That's how I took the information when I learned about the creative society. And yes, it's important that we keep that image in mind. What would it look like for all of us? A positive image. Nature doesn't destroy humanity on purpose. The power that nature possesses is incredible. The power that comes from water, the energy derived from the wind. That's the way it is. In fact, it's fantastic. It is so, yeah. After all, it's something very much alive. It's only when we offer this force, surfaces to attack, then it has such a powerful effect. The distribution, again, this interconnection and distribution at the level allows this force to be gently expanded. No wind does anything on purpose, no wind destroys on purpose, and neither does water.
Das ist
that's what I perceive. And I would like humanity to reconnect and imitate nature. How can this work? And to do that, it's important that we have an image. How do we really want to live? What kind of people do we want to be? What kind of person do I want to be in the future, now and in the future? And maybe that question helps us to make a statement. Decision, no, I'm not going to do that anymore. There is a line here.
Das Überleben kämpft. Ich gehöre nicht dazu. Ich kämpfe nicht das
Only
Überleben.
for those who struggle to survive. I'm not one of them. I'm not fighting for survival. At this point, I'm not. I'm doing fine. I feel rich. But how many people are struggling to survive? And one who is in a struggle for survival can't unite with the living. These are mutually exclusive concepts. Those who are in survival mode have no concept of unity, not even with one's own brain, by means of the neocortex, and also with the non-living.
Da würde ich auch gerne weiter mit anderen
I would like to discuss this with other people, how it works and how this or that person sees it, or who feels it's the same.
Ja, ich wünsche mir, dass es besser wird hier.
Yes, I'd like everything to get back to normal right here.
Absolutely. I absolutely agree with you. And I believe that today, more than 99% of people would agree with you. And we should definitely see and take examples from nature, because as you said, everything is interconnected. And unfortunately, today we're destroying species, we're destroying, forests, we're just, destroying the nature, the planet that we have been given. And we definitely need to start restoring, start uniting, and start to figure out how is it that we can restore the planet that we live on. And also, Silkie, I wanted to just make a little comment. How is it that when you were in school, that your geology teacher was telling you about the 12,000-year cycle, and now we have all forgotten about it? And it's just amazing that that man or the woman, your teacher, even back then knew about it and was teaching about it, because this information is so important. This is, from conference to conference, this is what we talk about, that, climate is changing due to a cyclical 12,000-year cycle. And we feel like not too many people know this information. So when I heard you say it, that's amazing.
Yes, I guess I was very fortunate because it was not on the German curriculum at that time, but my teacher was a true hippie from the 1960s. He used to turn up with the woolly jumpers and the big Bandebomb symbols, and he was very, very much into it. And I guess somewhere amongst those hippies of the 1960s, even though they were written off as weirdos and a bit wacky, there were some people who knew the truth, and that's why the whole movement came about. And I was just very fortunate to have a teacher like that who told us things that were not in the curriculum. Yes, we need more teachers like that, more scientists, more researchers like that talk about it today. And as I mentioned earlier, 99% of the population are aware that the current consumerist format of society does not work. Today we have inflation, low-paying jobs, unaffordable healthcare, education crisis, division, violence, wars, and among all this, climate is raging and claiming millions of lives. And we all understand that the one and only ultimate root cause of all this is the current consumerist format of society, in which we delegate our power to few people who defend their own rights. And we saw this, as Anik said, for the past over 6,000 years. But what can we do? If all people unite around one common idea, then we can build a world we all dream of and we all deserve. And this is absolutely possible today, because we all want to live in a world in which no man has power over another, a society in which we, the people, decide, for example, how the public funds are spent, and make other global and local decisions all together. And this is totally possible to do, and this is what the creative society is all about. And right now, if we could just watch a short video about charity funds.
Perhaps you may think it will never happen to you. While those people have been given all the help they needed, and they are now safe. And indeed, there is now a huge number of organizations and foundations dedicated to helping people. The largest of them, the United Nations, is positioning itself as the guarantor of peace and security of humankind. For decades, we have been hearing beautiful slogans and promises from high rostrums. If you listen to these loud statements, it may seem that we will solve all our problems. There will be no more poverty, no more hunger, no more wars, and we will all live well. After all, there are over 100 international organizations working under the aegis of the United Nations to solve the world's problems. For every new problem, a new organization is created. Every year, UN member states pay huge contributions to these organizations. In fact, this is money from our pockets. These are the taxes we pay to the state. Between 2010 and 2020, according to official data, the 44 UN organizations alone raised $540.4 billion contributions to the UN organizations have increased by 58% over 10 years. But let's take a look at what we have achieved over this period of time. The largest amount of money today goes to solving the problem of hunger. The main UN organizations to tackle this problem are the World Food Program, WFP, and the Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO. They have raised $79.8 billion over the last 10 years. Current estimates are that almost 690 million people are hungry in the world and 750 million people are severely food insecure. The Food and Agriculture Organization itself predicts an even greater increase in hunger by 2030. 841 million people. So, the World Food Program is projecting funding needs for 2022 already at $13.9 billion. So they say, there will be more hungry people, so they need more money. It is a legitimate question. How is it that, with ever-increasing funding, the problem itself is only becoming worse? Let's look at another problem, the refugee problem. The number of refugees has doubled over the past 10 years, comprising 82.4 million in 2020. The United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, UNHCR, deals with refugee issues. Over the past 10 years, funding for the organization has increased by 56%, reaching $4.8 billion in 2020. Let's look at what kind of help they provide to people. One area of refugee assistance is shelter. On their website, they state, the main part of our protection mission is to guarantee access to proper shelter in humanitarian emergencies. We provide tents, distribute plastic sheeting, and develop strategies, tools, and guidance in emergency situations, and provide emergency assistance to those who need it most. On cold nights or hot days, our help can be the deciding factor between life and death. In an emergency, tarpaulin tents are an adequate short-term measure. But people live in such tent camps for years in inhumane conditions with no hope of the future. Due to the lack of even basic sanitation conditions, people die of infectious diseases. Who benefits from the problem not being solved? As long as there is a problem, there is funding. And if the problem is solved, there will be no funding and therefore no organizations. As long as there is a financial interest, as long as someone makes money from it, no one will solve the problem. The UN itself is very much like a transnational corporation in its structure. There is a parent company that coordinates and manages the activities of its other companies, but each brand is a separate business entity. In 2020, more than $3.7 billion was spent to maintain the UN bureaucracy on staff and director salaries, health insurance, holidays, business class flights, and other expenses. The planned expenditures for the renovation of the Palace of Nations alone in Switzerland, where the UN headquarters is located, is $871 million. With this money, 174,000 houses could be built using 3D printing technology. How many refugee families could benefit from this housing? But alas, building homes for those in need is not a priority for their aid. What do we have in the end? Numerous organizations that we have entrusted with the responsibility of solving serious problems of humanity turn out, on closer examination, to be merely business structures. It becomes obvious that there is a direct interest in the growth and aggravation of problems. In other words, it is beneficial for someone that people starve, struggle to survive, and make wars with each other. And that is the cynicism of the consumerist format of society. Creating the illusion of solving a problem without the real goal of eradicating it is a principle of the consumerist format. Under such conditions, it is tantamount to anesthesia for a fatal illness. And even closing or reforming some organizations or firing some individuals will not save the situation, because new ones will come in their place and do the same thing, making money off our lives. Today, because of our tacit support for the consumerist format, we are all on the precipice. The rapid escalation of all crises will soon bring us all, without exception, to the brink of disaster. What kind of help will we get? A piece of tarpaulin for shelter and a couple of bottles of water?
Yes, as we've seen, you would think that with all of the money that we have, we could have a beautiful planet. But on the contrary, our planet is dying, and we have more and more global problems. Growing in consumerist format, we were taught to shift our responsibility. Now we clearly understand that nobody will help us, neither political nor governmental organization. We need to organize ourselves. And here I would like to come back to what Anik said, that we need to unite. We need to synchronize ourselves. I absolutely agree with this. And we know, Anik, that you are an environmental analyst and a researcher. I would also like to come back to the topic of technologies. Do you think there are any solutions to stop the ecological crisis that our planet is already facing, that these technology solutions would already be existing that we could use?
Das ist eine gute Frage.
That's a good question. People, there are a lot of people who are incredibly resourceful and have a lot of ideas. We have such an advanced brain that we can come up with all kinds of solutions. That's what makes us human. Yes, unlike animals who don't have that range, they are quite limited in their behavior. Basically, we have all possibilities, and if a problem arises, we also find a solution. That's what makes us human. And in that way, I firmly believe that we can create many solutions to energy issues, and they do exist. If you think of power plants that convert wave motion into energy, into electricity, or osmotic power plants, or wind, solar, and so on. It's possible. All of these things already exist, and we have to want it. We as humanity have to want to exploit these possibilities or find further solutions to problems. We are able to do that. I'm firmly convinced of that.
To comment a little bit. Thank you very much. I fully agree, and this is actually the goal of creative society, is with help of moving away from the consumer format of society, where the scientific potential is being paid for by, let's say, few people who use it for their own interest to make more money. In creative society, where the scientists are not anymore, let's say, dependent on grants or funds for dedicated research, but have got open hands by, again, uniting this is where we can find all the solutions to the problems that we have. So I fully support what you've said, and thank you very much. And maybe I can pass the words to Olga now to
yes, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and thank you, Anik, so much for sharing. And also, Silkie, we know that also in your article you wrote about the technologies that we already have that are available to provide food, clean water, and so on and so forth to the people. But unfortunately, today these technologies are not used because we live in this consumerist format of society, and it is not beneficial to use them. Maybe you can talk a little bit about this and how in the creative society these technologies will be used and will be available to all people.
Yes, sure. Well, I have done a lot of my own research, even though I'm not a scientist, but I do believe that even as an ordinary person, I have a duty to inform myself. So I've found so many technologies we have already. One was even mentioned on the forum, extracting drinking water from fog. Desalination plants to get drinking water from the very sea itself. There are people who are inventing plastics that are plant-based and not oil-based, so they can decompose. There is this movement of bamboo at the moment, that things are made from bamboo instead of plastic. So there are so many things going on right now in society that are going in the right direction, but I just don't see them going mainstream. Like, for example, take things like the bamboo toothbrush. Myself, I've been using them ever since they first came on the market, but to even source one of those toothbrushes, I need to go to all sorts of lengths, order them off eBay, because I cannot find a single toothbrush like that in my local shop. I go into a supermarket and everyone is talking about we need to reduce plastic. Then I am almost hit in the face by the sheer quantity of plastic. And that gets back to the same old problem that people don't have enough money to buy into these new technologies, because when I tried to go plastic free one time, I actually found it is extremely expensive. I just could not afford it on my income. And I consider myself as having a comfortable income. I'm definitely not on the poverty line. But even I could not afford to buy all these products because they are 5, 6, sometimes 10 times as expensive as the conventional plastic products. So what happens? I end up back in my local supermarket doing the shopping that I can afford and ending up with a huge mountain of plastic every time I unwrap everything at home. So yes, we definitely have all these technologies, but they are being priced out of the market, again, by those who are wanting to make more money, going probably right back to the oil industry, because after all, plastic requires huge amounts of oil. So therefore, there is a direct interest of not getting rid of these products that are damaging to the planet, because they make much more money for the 1%. So I have really dedicated a lot of my time to finding all these alternative technologies, and my dream is one day to have a place. I own a lovely property in Bulgaria, and I'm just dreaming of making that place into a center where people can come and learn about, growing plants vertically, and alternative ways of harvesting, and just living in harmony with nature, really. And I really, really hope that people around the world will wake up and try to do similar things. And even if it's only growing some potatoes and some strawberries on your own balcony, it would be a start, the way I see it. Now, if all people around the world were to pull together and start doing these little things, like we could have, instead of just ordinary trees in cities, we could have maybe fruit trees so people get something to eat. That there are so many options, possibilities to create a beautiful world for everybody. We just really need to all start acting on it and start making it happen, because if 8 million people around the world suddenly start acting on these things and implementing it, the 1% won't stand a chance. It's just the fact that we're so many more people. We outnumber them greatly. We just need to wake up to the fact that we hold that power.
Yes, that's exactly the truth. And in order to do this, the people need to be informed. As you correctly said, that one day you would wish so that the people come and learn. Actually, there already is this opportunity. The global forum that volunteers of Creative Society have been preparing for months, gathering all the information, provides enough information in order to make a conscious decision. So I would also like to ask the next question to Anik. How do you think that this information presented in forum can change our future? You said that we need to create this picture of we need to create this picture of the society that we would like to live in. But how would you envision it from the information to this picture? Can you share with us, please?
Das ist eine ganz, ganz wichtige Frage, Marek.
This is a very, very important question, Mark. I think it's essential that every person be affected, that the image or circumstances get under his skin, really get under his skin, that is, get under his own skin. I know from my own experience that when I see a lot of really awful images, something inside me can shut down. This is where the difficulty can arise. It may be moments, brief moments, when one is really touched. I remember it very well, and Silkie was just talking about that time. Back then, in the 80s, when I went to school, my biology teacher, who was also a hippie, showed us a film of frogs that to protect themselves from drought burrow deep into the ground in the summer until the next rainy season, to survive until the next rainy season. And then in the 80s, the drought was getting worse and worse, so the frogs had to bury themselves deeper and deeper. And at that time, they had to bury themselves so deep that they basically couldn't get out alive. So at that time, this species was already extinct, or it was difficult for it to survive. That moment, I remember very well, it really struck a chord with me. That was the beginning for me to direct my consciousness in that direction. And I feel that it's very important that we have people in front of us, that we have one, maybe two people who can inspire us in a direct meeting, get in direct contact. I'm also a teacher. Like our colleague,
unser Kollege aus Namibia.
From Namibia. I'm a teacher, and I know that I can feel exactly when I touch people with what I say in class, what I show. And just for the sake of those moments, it's worth it. Then I realize that something has happened to the other person, to my interlocutor. I have left an impression, and now he carries it on, carries it into his own life. Yeah? Of course, it doesn't always happen, not in every lesson or with every student, but it is that touch that makes the difference. We need mentors, we need people who inspire us. And that may be the case here as well, or so I assume. This forum is precisely conducive to that.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. Absolutely. And the International Forum is a huge contribution that millions and millions of people gathered, around the world all together and contributed to creating this information. And it is amazing that so many volunteers, provided their time and their attention to translating the forum into 100 languages so that all people can learn the truth. So thank you, Anik. And Silkie, we also hear that, a lot, that one person can't do anything. What can I do? I'm just one person. Or such things as, the truth is too scary and I don't want to watch the truth because it's too scary. But we know that if we cannot act or we cannot make a conscious decision until we know the truth. And we know that you have been acting, you have been writing articles, you watched the forum, you are now participating and speaking up today in this international discussion. What can you tell those people that think that they're all alone and that one person cannot make a difference?
I would like to say to all of these people that every single person on the planet has got the power inside to change this world. And it doesn't have to be huge heroic acts. It really starts right there at home. It starts with something as simple as changing your toothbrush. It starts with something as simple like going out in your local community, organizing a litter pick, a clear up. There are so many things we can do in every single day life that aren't big acts. And it may look like, if I pick up a piece of litter and put it in a public bin, I might think, well, it's just one piece of plastic. What good will that do? I mean, considering the sheer scale of the pollution on this planet. But it does make a difference because it's, again, a numbers game. If every single person thought like it, we've got 8 billion people all picking up this one piece of litter, or all changing their toothbrush from plastic to a bamboo one, or using a soap bar instead of a shampoo that comes in a plastic bottle. If you're putting all these mini acts together and multiply it by 8 billion, we are making a huge difference. We are making the difference that is needed right now. And also by just watching things like this forum and then deciding to speak up instead of remaining silent. Again, we are spreading the word, we are creating a network, we are strengthening our bond as the human race. So every single action, no matter how tiny or minute, is important, and it does make a difference.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And as we're coming towards the end, maybe Anik or Silkie, maybe you would like to share something else, something that maybe we haven't asked you, or something that you would like to address to our viewers.
I would like to say to our viewers, just go out there and enjoy life, because the worst thing to do is to start shriveling up with fear when we see these images, because these are scary images. But if we all, as the human race, keep a positive spirit, positive mindset, and then just start the changes that I just talked about, these tiny little changes in everyday life, and just be positive and love the human race, love Mother Earth, then we will find a solution to this problem.
Great, thank you. And Anik, any last words or a message to our viewers?
Ja, ich möchte gerne ein Bild teilen. Wenn es um
Yeah, I wanted to share an example. When it comes to decisions, questions, am I going in this direction or that direction? To stop for a moment and feel within yourself, how would my inner self decide right now? My inner compass, where is that inner compass? Where do I feel it? And in what direction does it guide me? What really feels right? The inner compass is there. We all have one. I wish for all of us to find access to it as well. And when we become aware of this compass, we become aware of our own dignity.
Thank you very much. This was very touching. And indeed, everyone has got this internal compass. Everyone knows actually what's good or what's bad. And yes, and if we choose the good one, we can really do a lot. So coming towards the end of our discussion, our dear guests, we really appreciate the time that you are taking to participate in this discussion. Your participation is very important and truly valuable, and maybe even motivating for other people to join and with our small actions creating a better world. Dear viewers, if the information that you heard today matters to you and you would like to contribute to the greater good of humanity, please take action immediately. The information that you have heard today during the international discussion that was voiced by respected speakers from all parts of the world, also during the forum Global Crisis, We Are People, We Want to Live, has to be heard by every human being on the entire planet. Please share it with everyone. It's as simple as that.
Yes, thank you so much. I would like to also say thank you to our speakers today, our guests. Thank you so much for joining us. And also to our viewers, if you have watched the Global Forum and would like to participate in an international discussion such as the one you're watching right now, please email us at info@creativesociety.com. And I would like to say that the forum is very important for all people, and the information needs to be heard by all. In order to build a better future, we must work for it. Nobody's going to do it for us. We can no longer shift the responsibility on someone else. The future is truly in our hands, and it depends on how we use our minutes, our chance right now is what the future will hold. And sharing the forum is a good starting point for people to gain an understanding of the truth. And only by knowing the truth can we make further steps. So thank you so much to our guests today. Thank you, Marek, for co-hosting. And thank you, dear guests, for joining. And until next time.
Thank you, guests. Thank you, Olga.